Activists try to prevent Black burial ground from being paved over. What are we doing? This should be a no-brainer. All right, here it is.
Advocates say there is evidence that the graves of formerly enslaved Black people are buried underneath the apartment building's parking lot.
The area that you're showing on TV right now is right next to the area that's under litigation. This is an area which was a mass grave. Right off of this area, between mid 1700s and 1865, there were 4 plantations along the River Road corridor. The councilman, the shoemaker, the posy, and one other plantation. And when these Africans were either murdered or died or bled out in childbirth, their bodies were thrown in this mass grave. And so this is a very historic cemetery.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Beautiful mass. I got a heck of a story to tell you. So activists, they're trying to prevent a Black burial ground from being paved over. Marsha Coleman-Adebayo talked about the history connected to this. According to The Guardian, activists in Bethesda, Maryland, are starting a nationwide push to help save Black cemeteries like the Moses Macedonia Cemetery from developmental threats across the United States. This cemetery has been partially paved over since the 1960s and now lies beneath a parking lot among other developments. The site was reportedly demolished by a dump truck and was dumped into a landfill due to a 2020 excavation. The activists are now fighting for a proposed storage facility that will be built on the cemetery where former enslaved individuals are buried. The Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition, led by Marsha, is requesting a $40 million compensation for emotional damage after finding human remains in the landfill. She's the president of the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition and told The Guardian, quote, even a dog cemetery will not be treated like this, end quote. That's correct. Quote, look what they're building here on the bodies of African people, Ms. Coleman-Adebayo said. How did they die? How did they live? What happened to them? The country could care less because they're Black, end quote. According to advocates, the county's current plan compounds the original desecration of the burial grounds in the 1960s, when developers pushed Black families out of the River Road community in order to pave over that area. The county has countered that claim by asserting that there are no human remains underneath the lot proposed for development. Meanwhile, the legal battle went to the Maryland Supreme Court before it was sent back down to the lower court to be relitigated. The reason, if necessary, the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition is willing, in this case, to take this to the U.S. Supreme Court. Quote, this is a David and Goliath fight, but we know who won that battle at the end of the day, she told the Banner. A victory on River Road will prevent the atrocity and genocide that happened in this community from ever happening again. Black cemeteries have long been threatened in the 18th century. Michael Blakey, a National Endowment for the Humanities professor of anthropology, Africana Studies, and American Studies at the College of William and Mary, said Black cemeteries were also used to dump waste from pottery factories to tanneries. Historian and anthropologist Lynn Rainville, who has researched Black cemeteries for 20 years, noted that Black bodies were dug up to be used as cadavers for 19th century medical research, still being done today. As a matter of fact, we've covered it on Indisputable that prisons are using the bodies of dead individuals without permission and without family notification. But robbers rarely Robbers rarely disinterred Black bodies to steal objects or jewelry, as they frequently did to indigenous burial grounds. After the Civil War, Black cemeteries were usually placed in areas with cheaper property values, which later became prime real estate for developers. Some Black cemeteries were also neglected following the Great Migration of the 20th century, and 6 million Black people moved from the South to other parts of the U.S. for economic opportunity and to escape racism. As a result, many Black people moved away from their ancestors' graves, and now the money grab is in. The money grab is always in. I say often to my college students that you don't have to really believe in God to be spiritual. That's just my opinion. Because to me, spiritual is the fact that you care about something like this. That's spiritual to me. Why? Because it is adverse to the other thing, which is money and material. It's adverse to that. Who cares? We're talking about something that should be sensible. That's also why we fight as a coalition. That's why I've stood with Native Americans when the federal government wanted to do the very same thing to their land, their territory, to their ancestors. Because, see, those victories have created case law. That case law is now utilized in this law in order to affect the protection of Black bodies. But in order to get that case law, you had to protect the Native American bodies. And now it comes to a head. Don't know exactly where this is going to go. Once again, it's been kicked back down to the lower court for relitigation. We should see what happens. Jackson, thoughts here?
Well, I think at the end of the day, remnants of the past, especially those that represent a people who were fighting for what's right or who greatly contributed to the progress and production of society, that's absolutely worth upholding. Even if it wasn't, grave sites. It could be old historic buildings. It could be old historic neighborhoods for people of all different kinds that really tell the story of any particular city, but also just helps to shed light on our story as human beings. What we've endured, what we've been through, and what we fought for, especially, again, if it's for the right thing on the other side, because pretty much everything that we have today that we take for granted, whether it be the peace of mind or being able to walk to the grocery store, there not being whites only, blacks only sections anymore, the ability to vote, the ability to work different types of positions, all of that is in place today because people fought and died for it. People bled for it. People cried for it and gave their lives for it. So that's why it's absolutely worth preserving.
Very well said, dear brother.